Konnichiwa, my name's Andy. Welcome to Uzumaki Garage. In my last video, I removed the transmission and a lot of other parts from the white Integra. With all that stuff out of the way, it's easier to take on jobs such as replacing the steering rack bellows. So that's exactly what I'm doing today. The steering rack bellows are meant to keep dirt and water from the inner tie rod and steering rack. They are split, but they're mostly intact and there's still grease inside, giving some protection. This hose is meant to be connected to the bellows, but it's broken off for some reason. With a paint pen, I'm marking where the hose is meant to go so I can install the new bellows in the right position. Now I'm removing the stainless steel band. I've cleaned up the parts with brake cleaner and I use a paint pen to mark right along the top edge. This records the current position so the wheel alignment won't dramatically change. Using two 19mm spanners, I hold the tie rod end still and loosen the lock nut or jam nut. I rotate the lock nut 1/8 of a turn clockwise and I'll tape it down so it doesn't accidentally move. And now I'm turning the inner tie rod clockwise from this viewpoint to release it from the tie rod end. The nut will go back on 16.5 rotations and the corroded side of the nut goes on the outside. Removing the old bellows. I want to clean the inner tie rod as much as I can, so to extend it I turn the steering wheel to the left. I'll be using this grease for its long service life and tackiness additive, which helps the grease stay in place. And I'm coating the inside of the bellows with this rubber grease. Now with the mark on the nut at the bottom, I'm tightening it on 16.5 turns. Now the lock nut is back in its original position, I turn the steering wheel to the right so it retracts the inner tie rod a bit. Then I move the hub around and line up the tie rod end with the inner tie rod. Now I rotate the inner tie rod carefully into the tie rod end until it meets the lock nut. Now I've just got to tighten up the jam nut here because the inner tie rod is in line with the tie rod arm and the mark on the jam nut is almost there. We've just got to tighten it up with two 19mm spinners. Holding the tie rod end, push the bellows onto the steering rack and have a little barb fitting
facing this way, lining up with the mark that I put there before.
I couldn't get a good shot of me installing the stainless steel band which secures the bellows to the rack, so I'll give you a quick demo on the bench to show how I did it. The stainless steel band wraps around the boot with its end facing the front of the car. The inside of the band has a little hook that works a bit like a pry bar. I bring it down over this little bump on the other side of the band. Then I lever it down, which tightens the boot onto the steering rack. I hold it down in this position while I use pliers to bend over the 4 little tabs. Then I flatten down the tabs gently with a drift. Then finally, I push the hose onto the bellows and repeat this whole procedure on the left side of the car. Okay, well that's one more maintenance job done, so I'm one step closer to driving this car again. I've also noticed some bushes on the front end that need to be replaced, so that will be the subject of the next video. Feel free to interact with the channel by saying something in the comments below. And if you have time, take a look at some of my other videos. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time.